there I was, looking at a mountain of clothes in the form of shirts, t-shirts, singlets, trousers, handkerchiefs, and be filled with an overwhelming sense of joy. Now, that sounds a bit ridiculous, but I promise I'll explain. My name's Salvatore, and today I want to share with you probably one of my most favorite things to do and explain how, by implementing this into your lifestyle and using it to reset, you will gain so much benefit from this, and it will really put you in good stead and give you like so much more confidence. So of course, stick around and you'll be able to understand how to do what I'm about to share and why it's important more than anything to give you that sense of understanding about why you should do it, right? Now, to sort of explain the importance of what I'm about to share, I have to kind of go back to the beginning. So, me as a child, I think I was either teenager or early teenager. Picture a young Italian third generation boy with this cotton handkerchief, blowing his nose, folding it, putting it in his pocket. Now, I know that you might think handkerchiefs, gross, this and that. Probably be better to have a tissue. And you're right to an extent. You can just blow your nose and then dispose of it, whatever. But the thing is, by having these handkerchiefs, by the end of the day, I would put it in the laundry and then it would get washed, right? But then it got to the point that there were quite a lot of handkerchiefs that were mine. So my mum kind of got to the point where she's like, well, instead of me ironing this, you really should be accountable for it and you should iron them yourself. So she kind of taught me how to do it. And I thought at the time, oh yeah, I'll just do it, fair enough. These are the only things I use. And I guess it's pretty weird for her to have to iron my handkerchiefs. These are my own things, so I should be accountable to it. And I kind of thought of it like that. And then I'm not gonna lie, at the start it was a bit weird and it was a bit daunting because there was quite a lot to do. And my mum showed me a style of how to go about and do it. But luckily the thing is, because it was a handkerchief, it was a pretty simple square item. It was relatively, I'd say, easy to do. So if you're kind of feeling like me, you're thinking, well, ironing sounds cool, but how would I start? A handkerchief is probably the easiest way to start. For example, it's a big square, so you lay it out, and this is kind of the importance of knowing how to lay out an item on the table, on the ironing board correctly, and then you'd start ironing it, right? Obviously wait till pour your distilled water in. You want to use distilled water in your iron because that doesn't have the chemicals from the tap. Chemicals from the tap, like the calcium or other chemicals and minerals, end up degrading the insides of the iron, or meaning you have to kind of maintain it more so, or kind of check it and rinse it out, so to speak. So by using distilled water, you help to extend the longevity of your iron. It's like an investment, and it's not particularly expensive distilled water. You can get it from any supermarket, for example. So what you would do is, of course, back to the handkerchief, lay it out, big square, iron it, fold it over twice, iron it, and then fold it over again, and it's about the size of your hand, and then I would press it, and I have a perfectly ironed handkerchief. And that was actually really cool, having that right there and see okay, well, that's the first one done. And then of course, eventually I would, do the rest. And then before you know it, I'd have this really nice pile of pressed handkerchiefs all nice and warm. And I was thinking to myself, I did this, that is a pretty cool thing. And it just gives you the sense of pride almost, even though it's as silly as a handkerchief. And I probably messed up a bit at the start because I didn't lay it out properly, so I got creases. But because there was so many, it allowed me to keep practicing. So I kind of almost look forward to it in a way. And then what happened was, maybe this also was because of the process of using the iron, steam comes out. It's a very kind of relaxing kind of activity because it's just kind of you and the iron and you're focusing on it. So what ended up happening was, as I got a bit older, there were other items that could be ironed in the house. Like, for example, there was like singlets, t-shirts, other more, I guess, difficult items to iron. And what I would do is I would like get shown how to, iron them, and I'd, move them around and lay it out flat. So the principles that I'd learnt from doing the handkerchief could extend over to figuring out how to iron like singlets and t-shirts to an extent. And then also, this kind of took a bit longer, but pillowcases. So then like what happened was I ended up being like the person in the family that took it upon myself to do the ironing. And it kind of took a bit of time, and this didn't really culminate until I started entering like the workforce, and I had my work shirts that would be cleaned and I would have to like iron them. There would be like 4 or 5 from the week, and I would need to iron them. And then of course I was shown how to iron my shirts in a similar manner to my mum deciding these are your shirts, you should iron them, much like the handkerchief. I was told, well, again, these are your shirts, you should iron them. And I'm not gonna lie, it was difficult to iron the shirt still, because it was something that you would present and have to wear. So it was kind of a bit nerve-wracking to start. And I think I kind of struggled a bit. And even though my mum did her best to show me, like I didn't quite fully grasp and understand it, and it took a bit more effort. It wasn't until I kind of like figured out the way I like to iron and kind of used that to go about ironing the shirt. Like I'd start with the sleeves first, and then I kind of work my way around to the front placket, like that side, and the back, and then I do the collar. Was what eventually I found useful and kind of gave me that sense of like accomplishment and confidence. But I similarly had to apply the principles of ironing the handkerchief, and again lay out the shirt in such a way that it wouldn't have creases. And I did make mistakes at the time, but you can kind of go over them again to get rid of the creases, or you can apply kind of your lessons on that shirt to the next one you have to do to kind of get better at it. And then like, I won't lie, it was a bit of a chore, somewhat, the shirts, because this was like another level up. And kind of when I started with the handkerchiefs, that was a chore too. But eventually I found that through doing the shirts, I ended up getting into a state of flow. Like, it sounds silly, but I ended up being able to like gracefully move the shirt in such a way that was very like efficient and kind of quite unique to me in terms of like how I was like holding the iron and getting out all the creases, and I was like really focusing on that and the attention to detail. And that would be something I'd be proud of. And then the added benefit of understanding that then meant that there were other clothes of other people in the family, like brother and mum, that I could assist with and kind of iron to take that burden off them having to do it. So I would do the t-shirts, brother's shirts sometimes, my mum's singlets, and then like some trousers here and there. And then this is like the next level. If you kind of want to treat yourself and have a bit of luxury, you get your pillowcases from the load of washing that you've just recently done, and you iron them. So having like fresh ironed pillowcases, it just means like when you put your head on it, like it's so flat and flush and there's no like crinkles in it. It's a weird feeling to explain, but once you kind of have these done, you'll kind of appreciate the time that you took to iron your pillowcases. It sounds silly. And I guess, so this kind of resulted in me having this internal sense of accomplishment, because it was something that I was accountable for and had actually, really enjoyed the activity after a certain point. So I kind of like looked at the freshly ironed clothes and thought, I'm set for the week, or everyone in the family's set. And then additionally to that, I would receive like the external gratitude from my family to say, thank you for, doing this and that, and you really, helped us out. And that kind of really gave me an extra sense of, well, this is kind of like a service almost, and kind of taking it beyond myself to how I can help others around me. And that's kind of the benefit of like doing the ironing, because what I do is I'd wait till there's enough stuff and I do like a big like batch, take me maybe 20 to 30 minutes. And And you might be thinking, oh, but like, say I don't have 20-30 minutes to dedicate to ironing, say once or twice a week, like it's too long. But then equally, like if you look in yourself and consider that you might spend a couple of hours, say, playing video games like I used to, or you might watch an episode of anime, or you might be on Netflix figuring out what to watch and that takes you 20 minutes, or you watch something on there, like, wouldn't it not be of more benefit to get yourself set up for the week so you can effectively have the benefit and peace of mind of knowing that it's done that task? Or more so, like, if you're really struggling to start doing the ironing, you can have music on in the background that you enjoy. Or you could even have a TV show kind of in the background. So, I mean, you still have to focus on doing the ironing because it will require a bit of effort at the start, but you'll kind of allow you to ease more into that process. And that will kind of make it a bit like easier for you. And you'll be able to see kind of how you can sort of have your cake and eat it too, to an extent. But I find like the most benefit for me when I'm ironing is when I have a massive, well, not massive, but a pile that will take me 20 to 30 minutes. I can have my ironing board out. It's a beautiful day. I can open the window. I can hear the tree behind me rustling, the birds chirping, and kind of like enjoy that feeling of and sense of like tranquil and peace when I'm in the zone and I'm just ironing and I'm hearing the steam. It's like very ASMR, right? So I guess how this will actually help you in your life, of course, there's the idea of, being presentable and having this stuff done so it leaves you with that sense of accomplishment, which is important, yes. But as well as that, it will kind of go into other aspects of your life and also kind of serve as a precursor for getting better at doing other bigger challenges. Like, for example, the way I see ironing, or in particular, say, ironing handkerchief, is that it's kind of like the tutorial level of a video game. And what I mean by that is, if in the tutorial level, it will be pretty straightforward and pretty easy to kind of get familiar with the mechanics of the game, the rules, how it works, the attacks, the spells, everything that's kind of in the game, or the items that you have, to get a sense of what you have to do and how you have to maneuver the world. So with ironing, it's kind of that safe environment where you can figure that stuff out and get comfortable with holding the iron, moving the materials of the shirt and clothing around to give you that greater appreciation for clothing in general and how to look after your own things. But also, if you kind of make a mistake, much like in the tutorial of a game, you're not actually, it's quite difficult to die in those early tutorial stages or fall off a cliff or take full damage or basically not progress further. So you can kind of be in that tutorial for as long as it takes to get familiar with the mechanics, and then when you're ready and confident, you move on. So see, the thing with getting better at ironing and building that up is that I feel when you have an ironed shirt, you will stand up straighter, you will be proud, you will know that you did that, and you will have that sense of gratitude for yourself for doing that and setting yourself up for the week. And just consider or compare you with another colleague at a corporate job, right? And that colleague just simply washes their shirt and hangs it and then throws it on. It has a number of creases and it doesn't look very presentable. You yourself have ironed it, and you put on a tie as well, so you look much more presentable and you look the part. Imagine all things being equal, you're both the same skill level, you've both been at the company at the same time, and you both apply for a promotion. Who do you think it will get taken more seriously? Who do you think will be seen more as the adult, responsible person who has that attention to detail? More likely you. Or more so, consider that moving out of the tutorial level into the real world, you have a presentation that you have to do at work to a great deal of people. So more people that are more senior than you, people that are your peers, and it's to the whole company. So there's 50 to 100 people you have to do a training session on. And imagine you being in this scenario where you and the other person are standing next to each other and you're presenting. Wouldn't you feel a lot more confident if you had a perfectly ironed shirt that you did, and by that level of detail, you just were more confident, you stood upright, you projected your voice better, and you really conveyed your point a lot more stronger in terms of what you were trying to explain. So of course, when people watched it, they resonated more with you and considered you more the person with that confidence, and kind of took more away from what you had to say, because you were kind of set yourself up in that way, and you were ready for the mountain that was doing a big presentation to people, because you practiced in the tutorial level to get yourself ready for that, right? That's what I'm trying to like explain through this, and kind of how the ironing will set you up for something like that, and will go into that world. So say, for example, taking it another step further, by ironing, consider that your attention to detail improves. Being that when you iron, you have to focus on laying out the clothing, the shirt, really getting into the corners, having the shirt at the right like point on the clothes ironing board, and to try to get the creases out. Similarly, when you're going over your material for your presentation, or you're researching something, you would probably apply a similar level of detail and analysis to figure out the nuanced points, or a better way to explain what you're explaining to others that might not be as familiar in the topic. So that kind of helps you in that regard as well, that greater level and attention to detail that the other person doing the presentation might not necessarily have, which puts you again in better stead because of that additional awareness you've gained. And furthermore, the great thing about ironing and taking a 20-30 minute block to iron clothes, or a mountain of clothes be that, is that eventually you will get into a flow state. And by a flow state, I mean that the task that will take 20 to 30 minutes will feel like it took 5 minutes, because you're in such an elated mood and you're just really enjoying the process of it. Which means, in the current world of when we're on our phones scrolling, our attention spans are everywhere and have been really smashed by short form content and kind of all the distractions that present to us and overstimulation. This sense of being able to stand and iron clothes is kind of a break and reset from that. It's a mindfulness activity that allows you to kind of start again and retrain your focus. Meaning that when you're kind of preparing for the presentation, or you're doing your stuff at work, you will be able to concentrate better for longer periods. So see how kind of an act as simple as this will retrain your brain and sense of like your reward centers, your dopamine, to not necessarily take the short form gain, but to seek the fulfillment of something more challenging and to have that long-term benefit. Like imagine starting the week, most people would dread starting a week on a Monday, but imagine starting the week on the Monday and you've got all your shirts perfectly ironed, ready to go. Like wouldn't that feel a lot more empowering to start your day earlier and just really like crush it at work? So that, for example, is like a key point about how there's so many facets to ironing and how it can really just like translate into that. To improve your life and give you something to do. And the great thing about this is anyone can really do it, assuming that of course your family has an ironing board, distilled water and shirts or something or other to actually iron. Like it's actually actionable by you, like right now, as soon as you finish this video, like what ironing needs to be done. You can iron the pillowcases, for example. I mean, everyone will probably have pillowcases, right? So you could even start as simple as that, or you'll kind of get the idea, and you'll have that confidence that you will build kind of again the tutorial level to go about the world in such a way that you just are ready to like kick some butt and ready to conquer even more mountains, and then lead to conquering more of life. So of course, if you kind of like this video of kind of me sharing a bit about something I really like and look forward to, being ironing, please of course subscribe, comment, tell me what you think, and if you start doing this, what you notice, because I might have missed some stuff, and how it makes you feel, and kind of maybe what you started ironing with, or maybe your journey. But of course, if you kind of want to figure out how to conquer like mountains literally, or kind of have more of a success in a fitness weight loss sense, and figure out the best vehicle for obtaining long-term fitness and just great quality of life, I would recommend you click the link below and check out Life Cycle. It's an ebook where I have curated my knowledge and experience gained from like commuting to work and university throughout my years, to 4 easy to implement stages of getting the bike, getting the right equipment, how to save lots of money in that process, how to do the correct training on the bike, how to train in such a way to conquer mountains, how to fuel yourself and eat off the bike to conquer mountains the best, most efficient way, and to conquer many mountains, how to recover off the bike, meaning you can get back on the bike sooner, you're not in pain, and you're kind of injury free. So all those things will be covered in the book in much more detail. Because of course, once you start ironing, you'll kind of want to visit and kind of consider other areas of your life that you might want to improve or start tackling. And of course, if you're kind of not sure where to start, or kind of want a bit of an actionable guide because you're not sure exactly what you can do, of course I offer 60-minute one-on-one consultation where you can send me some questions and initial queries, and I can start looking at those questions and kind of do all the hard work. And then when we get to our call, I can kind of give you more of that advice by doing the work, and then we can have more of a informative discussion, how to plan exactly like a good routine for you, or something that will help you conquer mountains and conquer life. So thank you so much for watching Conquer Mountains, Conquer Life.